Alright, so I'll show you what I've been doing lately. I bought a forge off Amazon. It's a propane one. And I've been taking 3D models like this here. Making a lot of knives. See with this here. All of these. Take these 3D models, you put it into this sand. It's called Petrobond. It's got a really fine mesh. And you take that, pack it into a mold. That right there. There's a new one I'm working on. A few over here. But you pack it into a 2-part mold, and then you take the plastic piece out, leaving the perfect indentation into the sand, so you can cast it into like aluminum. It's usually what I use here, but sometimes I use something called marine brass. So that's an alloy of copper and aluminum. Here's one here. Little butterfly knife. This is from CSGO. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a start. Same with these ones here. Bayonet as well. Just aluminum, so it's not actually, usable, but it's nice, it's sharp. This it's a little ugly. It was supposed to be like a brass knuckles and a knife together. Brass knuckles didn't turn out too well. And then I guess this is another CSGO knife, shadow knife. And yeah, here's my tools. Here's my little bench press that I kind of turned into a mill and drill station. As you see here, it's got the moving table. Works pretty well. That's how I cleaned up this. It was actually my first time using the mill and drill, so it's pretty ugly, but proof of concept, right? So you got the shiny finish from this bit. Then I bought an aluminum one so I can mill and drill the sides, like that triangle there. Pretty ugly, but proof of concept. Alright, so the first thing I start with is parting dust, making sure that the parts don't stick to the sand. I use baby powder, but I mean you can actually buy real parting dust, but it's like 60 bucks for 5 pounds, and I don't know, baby powder smells nice too, so I guess that's a double win. Like so, just kind of putting that dust all over everything. Alright, so with this model, it's actually, as you can see, in 2 pieces. That makes it easier for doing this style of the 2-part. So there's 2 different ways. You can either put the sand in first and then press the piece in. That's good for stuff with like complex curvatures. So like that, for example. Press that in and then do the 2-part. And yeah, so just like that. Now I take a strainer and put a fine coating over the whole part, leaving really fine dust on it, and then you pack down the harder material. It's all just sand, right? But pack it down really hard, and then you're left with very fine mold. Like you will actually, it picks up like all the little fine layer lines. I'll show you that in a second. Alright, as you can see, nice fine coating. Now you just kind of dump the rest on like so. And then pack even more of this. Get it in all the corners. Smooth it all out like so. Now, I actually made this out of aluminum, but there's like I guess the plastic one. This is someone's design, I don't remember who, but casted this, and then you just kind of tamper down, and then you gradually I guess lay off on the dirt. So for example, I'll start off by putting, I don't know, a good inch or 2, and then I'll pack it down really tight, and then gradually looser towards the top. That way I don't use, as much material for, this. Alright, so I packed it down with dirt. Now it's time for the satisfying part. Scraping off that layer. leaving that perfect finish on the bottom. Alright, now it's time to flip it over. Then we're left with the perfect 1/2 of a mold. Alright, so I added the second part of the mold. I had to glue it on, so now the mold's ready. And you just add a little more parting dust, like so, leaving a nice coat over all of the sand until everything looks kind of all white, like that. Brushing the piece, getting all of the little indentations, and then put a little more sand. So, like this. Alright, I almost forgot, but I'm actually going to add my sprue and basin. I actually was doing some research last night and found out that if you use a tapered sprue, it actually slows down the flow of the liquid and causing it to take its time to fill in the cracks, fill in all the indentations. So, and then a basin, the top piece here, that is to keep it from splashing. So you would pour into this piece and then it would flow up and over into the tapered sprue, causing the metal to slow down and not create cavitations in the metal. So I'll put that in here, right about there. And yeah. And you also can't forget about the outtake. So intake and then outtake. So then the metal travels through, filling all of this, and then fills up this sprue. So when it shrinks down, when it cools down, this material here will keep that all solidified and intact. Alright, so here's both halves of the mold. Knife is still in this one. So I created a sprue. They're actually the opposite way right now, so this one needs to be flipped around. But this is the tapered sprue. It's going to have an indentation here, and then on this one I'm going to create similar situation to where it taps and feeds around into the knife handle. So this side, it has a better indentation, so I'll do it on this one and take out the sprues. Alright, so here's one final look at everything. As you can see, the indentation of the knife came in quite well. See all the layer lines. And here's how the flowing is going to work. So it's going to pour into here and then channel through the knife, filling in everything here. Then it has an air hole here, so it will fill in the tip and create that metal in the very tip there. And then it passes through and goes out the other hole. So then in the end, everything here will be completely filled with metal. So let's get to that. Alright, so usually I would take the forge and everything and put it outside, but as you can see, looks like it might rain, so I'm not going to chance it and just do it in the garage. So as you see here, just put the propane in, hit the valve, hit the other valve, Alright, so I already have some metal from earlier still in there, so I just put the lid on, give it about 30 minutes, and I'll be back. Alright, so now the aluminum is melted down. Just now need to hot in there, melted down. Now I add a bit of borax cleaning agent. That helps degas and also helps clean out the metal. Just like so. I just take a piece of rebarb here, I've modified, and just push that in. See that metal starting to bubble up. Degassing. like so. Alright, now it seems to be all degassed. Now I just scrape sides like so, catching any of the slag or unwanted material, leaving that nice shiny finish on the top. Okay, and you just throw this outside like so. Melted a bit of metal, but that's fine. Okay. Alright, again, getting rid of the slag in here. Just using a spoon. Like so. Dump it in my slag bucket. And now we wait. Alright, so just a quick recap. This is the basin that I'll be pouring the metal into. It will channel all the way through and then come out the top side here. Right now I'm waiting for the aluminum to develop a bit of a skin on the top layer here. The aluminum oxidize is when clearly I don't know what I'm talking about, but you develop a layer, and when it pours the metal in, it pours, I guess, better. So we're just waiting for that, and then yeah. Alright, so the video was corrupt, so I wasn't able to show you the pour, but after a few minutes letting it cool down, I'm gonna open her up and see what we got. There we go. Beautiful cast. Take it out and clean it up. Alright, just pulling it out of the sand. Looks like it turned out quite nice, actually. Cool this off. Alright, so I took off all of the sprues. Now it's just time to clean it up. One thing I will say is the flask I'm using does not have any mounting points. So as you can see, I was actually just taking one side, making it flush and lining up the lines, which is not the best method. So I actually just took the time to print and make a flask that has the printed mount points, so no matter what, they'll always connect in the same spot. Like there's no way that I'll get any kind of shifting out of that. And I can go one further and actually seal this and screw down each side, making the mold perfect. So now it's time to put this through a bunch of sanding and probably this mill table, and I'll try to set up an angle that you can see. Alright, so I have the part now into the setup here. Let's turn the mill and drill. Alright, so I finished milling it down, as you guys can see here. Looks a lot better. Now it's time to run it through the sander. Alright, so after I milled it, drilled it, sanded it down, came to this. I had to drill the holes here by hand That's why they look pretty ugly. But that's that. Hey, hey! What the fuck? Holy shit. Lucy! Oh no. Being attacked, puppy? Wally. Look at you.